Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Yeah, nice big round of applause. Who doesn't like the clap first thing in the morning? Give yourselves some adulation. You made it. It's another day. It's Tuesday, the 21st of November. I'm looking at the weather probe. A chilly 15 degrees outside the studio this morning. It does appear colder and more wintry out with the dogs this morning on a crisp blue morning here on the Silver Coast, and it did feel decidedly wintry. Windy day today. So if I pop along to the coast, I shall have to make sure I wear at least 2 or 3 layers today. How are you? What are you up to? How's it going? Do let me know. Who's here already this morning? Peter. How did it go at the Lagar yesterday? Coach Turner is in. James is in. Wise Men of the Gumpocalypse. Where's Deagle? I haven't seen Deagle for a little while. If someone's got his number, how about buzzing in, making sure he's all right, and getting him onto the screen here this morning. If you're a Gumper, new or old, do make yourself known to us on the screen, and we'll take great care of you and make sure you're okay on this, yes, somewhat blustery Tuesday morning. Okay, nice video in from Gary. Not that one. Gary in the Algarve, Gasgarve, rather than Garvo in central Portugal. Have you? Nice reminder. Have you taken an intentional breath yet today? I did some very mindful waking up this morning. It was a really lovely process, a mixture of snoozing and mindful, just lying there, soaking up the glory of being alive. It's quite the privilege, isn't it? That we're not taught about this, are we? When all is gloom and doom in the mainstream media, education, the messaging, what are kids growing up believing life is about, I wonder. Whatever that is, they're not often told to, how about take a nice intentional breath and be glad that you're alive. And of course, there are many people in the world, it would seem, who are too busy dealing with matters far more urgent and desperate than taking intentional breaths. But that said, there's a lot of us who could be doing that who probably aren't. So nice reminder there, James. And I have made a segment of our little exchange yesterday, our interchange, our exchange yesterday on the show. And I'll be publishing that more in my mindful and meditative community. I thought it was a great conversation yesterday. Wow, 15 degrees. It was 12 centigrade here in Pays de Galles yesterday. Wow, that doesn't sound too bad though. Still well above freezing there in cold and wet Wales. How are you doing, Lee? Does it suit you to come on sooner rather than later this morning? Give us a thumbs up if you'd like to do that. I think it's just a rolling one. Oh no, he didn't even hear that. He's popping his Bluetooth in now, I think. Algarve tends to be, says Dougie, an average of 10 to 12 degrees Celsius higher than the UK. Have you noticed around your local neighborhoods how mindful the locals are to trimming and pruning? Don't know my neighbors that well. Joao de Nort. Coach, and Lee will tell us about, I'm sure, trimming and pruning for this time of year. Lee, does it suit you to come on earlier, sooner rather than later? Oh, no, he's just, as soon as I say that, he's just disappeared off the screen. He's just doing a sound check, I think. Bon dia, all you lovely gumpers, says Coach Turner. I should be training this afternoon, but I have a whinging Achilles, so it needs resting. So exercise bike for me after coffee. Have a great day all. I wonder, can you have coffee during the exercise bike and make it put a bit more froth in your cappuccino there? God's God tip of the day from Coach Turner. Exercise may not be the most effective way of losing weight, but it has many important benefits. At the top of my list is the improvement in the cardiovascular system. Physical activity will strengthen the heart and help to keep the arteries and veins from becoming clogged. There are no guarantees. That sounds helpful, doesn't it? There are no guarantees, and we're all different, but all the research shows it. Yes, research is indicative, isn't it? And not, it's almost like religion, really, isn't it? You know, you listen to it, you take what you will from it, and you hope for the best. Isn't that? If that isn't a good enough reason to put your shoes on and go for a walk, then there's another one on the way tomorrow. Yeah, and as Coach has said before, find a method of exercise that suits you, that you all want to do. I was back in the gym yesterday, and yeah, I was in the gym, Dino's gym, and guess who came up to me in the gym yesterday? Mr. Dino himself, Senor Dino. What a lovely bloke. I think I didn't get a chance to ask him if he wanted to be on the Good Morning Portugal show. He owns 4 gyms on the Silver Coast here, and I think he'd make a great guest. Maybe he can come on at the same time as Coach Turner, with his view of being the owner of gyms in the... maybe he'll do us a special offer. Maybe he'll do us a mates rate here on the Silver Coast at one of his 4 gyms. Could say a couple more hellos, then we'll go to Lee. Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz terça todos from James. And just straight in after Coach Turner's God's God tip of the day, T-Duck is in as well. Good morning, Coach. I joined the gym 6 months ago and I haven't lost a pound. Tomorrow I'm going down there in person to find out why. Form the Alegria Gumpers then from T-Duck with a deep thought. Let's see if this gets Lee's juices flowing. We'll see if this morning if he's grumpy or gleeful. Deep thought: when one door closes, another opens. But we often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the one which has opened for us. Isn't that the human mind? Alexander Graham Bellend there, a Scottish-born inventor, scientist, and engineer who is credited with patenting the first practical telephone. Talking of the mind, the opening meme this morning was this one, a good one. I think you'll agree. If you're having a hard time getting started on a project, this is for you procrastinators. Simply start a second project, get it to a critical point, then use the original project to procrastinate work on the second, now more stressful project. Repeat as needed until the universe disintegrates. Maybe that's how the creator created this wonder upon which we gaze. A man who gazes upon this wonderful creation more often than most, you might say, is Lee McGrady, who sat in his van, keep him warm, I think, not outside a cafe, sat in his van. Nice big round of applause. Head Gardener McGrady, how are you?
Good morning, Carl. Good morning. Very good, thank you.
Is that your van, or are you being detained by the GNR somewhere?
This is our van.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
This is my van.
So
the cafe's just opening.
Oh, okay.
You've caught me on a different day today. We normally do the other Tuesday. Well, I'm at the Old Boys Cafe with the builders, so you've got me on a different day today for some reason.
The Old Boys Cafe with the builders. Tell us about your cafe culture.
Well, Monday to Friday, Monday to Thursday, I do different routes. Every day is different. So every morning there's a different cafe to start with before I actually start work.
Yeah.
And the normal Tuesday we do it on, I'm in a different area. I'm over near the golf course area near Avawera. But you've caught me in what's it called, Caparica-ish area today.
Lovely there, lovely.
Yeah.
How is it?
Yeah.
Have you seen the sea today from there? I love that road. As you drive from Caparica to Arawera, you in your rear view mirror you get this beautiful glow from the Atlantic, don't you? Which I'm sure you'll be familiar with.
I like going the other way. I like going down into Caparica so you get it in the windscreen instead of in the rear view mirror. So I don't like leaving it.
No, okay,
yeah, it's a nice spot down there.
It's
a nice spot down there.
I'm glad to see that you start the work day in a traditional Portuguese way. Pop into the cafe, have a smoke, have a coffee, maybe. Do you have a little petisco as well? No. I very rarely eat before lunchtime. It's not good for you. No, true. He says, taking a big puff on a smoke there.
I have got my Good Morning Portugal cup this morning. Excellent. I had a cup of tea on the way in this morning with it.
Glad to see it. We probably need an enamel set of those, don't we, for the gardener? and for outdoor
I need a
use.
metal one. Yeah, I need a metal one I can splash about a bit.
Yeah, in the garden there. Now, it occurred to me, and I see a typo already on my ticker tape, that you fellas who join me on the Quinta crew Tuesday morning, we've got you this morning to have a chat, and John was talking about trimming and pruning. You might have to say about that. We've got Matty, who, of course, renovating and creating his own Quinta in central Portugal, and then Jason from Quinta Essencial later on. You all grow food or intend to. Matty's a bit behind the program, I think, because he's got more pressing issues to deal with. But the intention, of course, is to grow your own. And all three of you have grown your own businesses as well. You run your own business here, working as a gardener in Lisbon. How is that? Is it easier growing food or growing a business?
Well, it's definitely easier growing food.
Right. And
Definitely easier growing food.
What are your observations? It just struck me that all of you are growers of businesses as well. How's that been for you? I'll ask each of you, but how is it for you?
For me, it was really quite easy. You know my mate Carl. He deals with all that. He deals with all that side of it.
Yeah.
I just kind of leave all that to him. But I had a spare day last weekend. I did intend to have the day off, but then I realised I had nothing else to do, so I went advertising. I went posting leaflets, which is still a thing in Portugal. Still a thing here.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
How's that shoe leather marketing gone? Did you get any calls?
Oh, it was really good. We did cafe to cafe. Yeah, I had a mate with me and Dave. We just did cafes to cafe and posted on the way between each one. But even that attitude in Portugal is much more relaxed.
Yes. Oh, I see. What you go and say, can I put a leaflet up? Yeah, of course you can. Whereas
no, you do a street.
Oh, okay.
You find a cafe, you have a beer. You do another street, you find a cafe, you have a beer.
Of course.
It's very relaxing. And at the end of the day, you're not sure where you've been. It's brilliant.
When you go and leaflet the same street again, and you get angry calls from people like, could you stop putting 3 leaflets in my there were 2 drunk men putting leaflets through my letterbox. Could you tell them to stop? Say, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll have a word with them. That must be very annoying.
But my actually be quite interesting. Kalu and Anna, you've met Kalu, my brother-in-law.
I have, yeah. Lovely.
Him and his wife have just started a catering business.
Oh, okay. We love to.
They had their first customer. They had their first event last week. They got some more lined up. They started the Facebook group and stuff like that. So, they're just starting where we did 3 years ago. They're just starting off now. So, and very exciting times for them.
Benefit of your wisdom, of course. So, if where are they operating, doing their catering, and where can they be hired by our community?
I presume it's going to be all around the Lisbon area, but I know that they have friends and family all over Portugal. So traditional Portuguese food, which I have sampled and enjoyed a great deal with you, and that's going to be available for hire by gumpers and well, anyone really, but perhaps they can come on and or if not, you can tell us about what's going on as their business unfolds and tell us what people can enjoy. I think if you can squeeze them in, I think I'll get Colin Allen's come and have a chat with you at some point next week or the week after.
Absolutely, be delighted to. Always very happy. That's what I was going to ask you, Lee, Matty, and Jason this morning about growing your own businesses as well as growing your own food. It's important to help small businesses in Portugal. It's part of the scene here that we like, isn't it? The mom and pop businesses, the smaller businesses, and resisting the corporate takeover at the other end of things. John was talking about trimming and pruning. Go, carry on.
Just me go back to that. We're in very city centre Lisbon, as you know, so I expect my experience is going to be extremely different to Jason's, where he's in much more of a community.
Yes.
Of people that seem to want to help out and help each other move on and progress. Yeah. So, I think Jason's experience will be very different to mine. And as far as paying tax stuff like that, I've got a cow to deal with it. I don't have to worry about it.
Everyone needs a cow.
Everybody needs a cow.
Needs one, doesn't it? And that, teamwork. This is what Raquel says. Teamwork is how to make a business work, and you clearly nailed that. Lee's level is high and a bit distorted. He's from Manchester. That's just he can't help it. Being busy times for me. Haven't been able to listen in as much as Pam, also from Manchester. Recently, hope everyone is doing well. We're doing well, Pam. Good to see you. How was the what's it called? The Sweet Festival at Conventual at Alcobaça. Was that good just recently? I think it was, wasn't it? I meant to do more on that, but we've always got next year, of course. On days, she says, when I work away from home, I always try to call in a cafe on the way. Yes, another way of keeping Portuguese businesses alive and well. The pastelerias, the padarias, the cafes. Portuguese business is the worst advertised in the world. I was trying to tell someone where I got my nets, not on Google Maps, no website. The you should know approach still applies. Maybe there's a good side to that as well. I don't know.
If I've got one little tip for anybody that's looking for a tradesman or looking to advertise as a business, there is an online facility called Zask, which is really good.
Okay.
We've used it in the past. We use it for finding work, and I've also used it or recommended it for use for other people to find tradesmen.
Is that ZASK? Two
I
A's.
think it's ZAA.
Okay.
SK, something like that.
Is that a Portuguese thing? Thank you for that. I'd never heard of it.
Well, I don't know if it's particularly Portuguese, but it's definitely the only online research I found, resource in Portugal I found that actually works.
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay,
I get you.
Well, you don't want to try Leroy Merlin's website. You don't want to try anything like that. It's pointless.
Right. Right. Well, I found it. Thank you for that. I think this might be very helpful to others. Zask, ZAASK, c'est para fazer e para jask. There. So a way of finding professionals and clients.
You can also get it in English. You can translate it, so it's not complicated.
With one click, you can get your plumbing sorted out by the look of it as well. So let's go from plumbing to pruning. Will Thompson's looking for work as well. Morning, Will. I'm currently a Quinta engineer again. The science of environmental off-grid comforts. Well, your time has come, mate. Sounds like a great job to be in at the moment. He's a
what?
He's a Quinta engineer. A bodger, I think, is the other way of saying
right. A bodger, right? Okay, all right. Yeah, that suits. Right.
You understand?
A jack of all trades. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Let me just go into that close-up shot because I was showing too many of my wires in the other view. Okay. Yeah. Joao was in early on talking about trimming and pruning. Have we noticed how our neighbours are all over that? Where was his message? But now's the time, isn't it, for a bit of trimming and pruning, or are they a bit premature with that sort of thing?
No, the bang on. Stuff like the bougainvillea, the wisteria, it's all that time of year to get it really hacked back now and get it fresh for the spring coming.
That's what he's saying. They seem to aggressively prune the flowering vines, the wisteria, the bougainvillea, the jasmine, etc. All get snipped back to the nubs. So that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Well, it really depends. If your neighbours it's really overgrown and not touched it all summer, then yeah, taking it right back's not a bad idea. But if you maintain it throughout the year, minimal trims, now is the time to give it a heavy trim and make a big mess. Yeah.
It's time to go from the 70s to the 90s, to putting it in another metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, did you want to add some more to trimming and pruning?
No, it's just the right time for doing it. There's a lot of jobs you should be looking at now as well. The weeds are all coming through, the weeds are racing away, so you really need to keep on top of them. My potatoes are going to go in this week. My first earlies.
Oh, nice.
So at some point this week, I'll be putting spuds in. That's and onions as well if you're growing veg this year. Your first onions can go in. Yeah.
Okay. Why is the van so cleanly? Are you expecting a raid?
Who's that?
A little bit of a tidy up. That's Peter, of course.
Now Pete knows how messy my van gets. But yes, I'd give it a tidy. I give it a tidy yesterday. So I even wiped the dashboard down. I wiped the dashboard down yesterday.
Why would you do that? Did you have to move all the receipts first?
Too many spiders. Just too many spiders in the place.
Right, okay. Hayley, how are you and the fan? Big love to you, to ya. And yet that's another interesting point actually about having a van. If you have a white van in Portugal, if this is part of your business plan or your MO for running your business, you can get stopped, can't you, in a white van? And the GNR do like to do that. What are they looking for?
Well, to be honest, I have no idea. They're looking to fine you.
Yeah.
They're looking to fine. No, from what I was originally told, because they do it at the bridge a lot, but it's always in the opposite direction to me. And it's
Okay,
like once a month, they're just pulling over every van. They're looking for stolen goods. They're looking for people working illegally.
Yeah.
They're looking for people importing stuff into the city from Spain, apparently.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and they're looking for, obviously, whether the van's roadworthy or not, which is an issue here in Portugal.
Yes. Okay. And as I understand it, if you've got stuff on board, it's quite useful to have the receipts for those things, isn't it?
Well, yeah, especially if it's new. If you've got a new item in the vehicle that looks new, you should really keep the receipt with you, because they get a bit fussy about it, apparently. It's never really happened to me. I've never had an issue. But even when I pick the big white bags up, like I use ton bags for garden waste. When I pick them up in Levi Merlin, they'll ask you, where are you going to use it?
Really?
Because apparently the police might need to know. That baffles me. Yeah.
Very
interesting.
The paper trail is quite important. You do need a filing cabinet. So plan to have a van big enough to contain a filing cabinet for all of those receipts for that eventuality. We had across our valley community a mystical mist roll in and switch off the good weather. Spooky. Did they turn on the CERN generator again? You never know, do you? Oh, and the Dosdish licorice was fantastic in Alcobaça. Go on, Lee.
Last week was amazing. We had some excellent mists in the morning, and there was one day when I was coming over, I was going towards the bridge, and you couldn't see the top of the bridge, but so we were under the mist. The mist was above us, and as I got to the other side, so as I got to the Caparica side, looking back down towards Lisbon, it looked like a waterfall of fog coming off the hills.
Beautiful.
I really wanted to stop and take a picture, but apparently you can't stop on the bridge and take photographs.
That's so unfair, isn't it? I mean, I think
they frown on it apparently.
Stopping on a foggy bridge might not be a very good idea. I created talking about getting business, spreading the word. If you are a business, I created my local Alcobaça Facebook group to share info about local businesses and events, as it was harder to find things a few years back. It's got better then, by the sound of it. I can believe that, Pam. And Pam says, I don't do marketing. My clients find me somehow. That's very Portuguese, isn't it? Word of mouth, and that's why Pete was complaining, wasn't he, earlier on? Is about the problems, the worst marketed. I think he said that was a phrase along those lines. But in a small knit community, people tend to know what other people are doing and recommend people. And I dare say that's how your business grows as well, isn't it?
We get a few recommendations. We get recommendations on Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Word of mouth, obviously word of mouth, neighbours talking, and then we advertise with the pamphlets, and we do the Zask thing. That's pretty much it for our advertising. Yeah.
And you're a walking advert or a working advert as well, aren't you? I mean, I see this. My neighbours have. We are obviously the garden that doesn't have somebody come round and do the garden, because I have to trim it from time to time, and it's down to me. But my neighbours on both sides have somebody come round. And that's a great way of getting business, isn't it? I mean, for you gardeners, there you are. There are people passing, seeing you at work, and that's a good time to have a few leaflets knocking about as well, I would have thought.
Well, once, twice a year, I'll do all the neighbours around where I work. I'll leaflet them.
Good man, yes, yeah.
But everybody's at work when I'm out working. So I don't... There's a lot of neighbours I actually never see. So...
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a few customers that I never see because they're we just ships in the night.
Well, that sounds like quite a good business model as well. I've taken my mindful breath today, James. Very good. Strangely enough, we saw you having a good smoke earlier on. I remember when I was a smoker. There can be a mindfulness about smoking, and although
I've got another one.
Yeah, although it's a bad habit.
I'll get another one now you mentioned it.
Yeah, I remember smoking mindfully. It's a mixed blessing for sure. It can be a little moment, can't it, of peace as well. The anonymous white van says, Joel Denault, the first choice of any self-respecting serial killer or contract assassin. He's not really a gardener, is he? He might let it slip during the conversation today. Gianna,
there is a great video you can find on YouTube about bank robberies in the 70s, where everyone that was doing bank robberies was using white transit vans or white Ford vans. It's excellent video.
Yeah, I've got a 70s video. As our relay baton between you and Matty, I'll play a 70s video that Dougie came up with that you and I will appreciate. Our American friends will think, no wonder the British moan so much. Look what they had to put up with in the 1970s. Pete reckons the GNR are looking for a Christmas bonus. How very dare you, Peter? Bizarre, though, as they drove past a lot of trucks with their axles on the ground and forgot their 25%. Bodger, I think we might have upset Will here, Lee. Not quite, actually. Engineer, if you don't mind. Off-grid, Quinta, farm specialities, carpentry, renewables, forest management, etc. Bodger with a master's degree. Thanks, though. We didn't mean it badly, did we?
I did. I meant it badly.
Okay, well done. I'm hoping to macro today to try out my new account. Living the dream. She's got a macro card and she's going to use it. Don't anybody get in the way of Pam today. Antonio is here. Tony Time. Morning. Greetings from a sunny Mino. Happy Tuesday, Tony Time. Man in the Mino. Sawmill he's still going on. Sawmill operating, hydro turbine repair, part-time nanny, cleaner, chicken herder. Okay, we'll upgrade you from Bodger to a Mary Poppins.
Chicken herder.
Yeah, or a Quinta Mary Poppins, perhaps, as well. We're demonstrating a wild lawn, apparently. That's right. I'm doing regenerative agriculture in my front garden.
Well, yes. if you'd watched the Chelsea Flower Show last year, last summer, you'd have seen the wild lawns that they were displaying.
I mean, I'll be in good company.
It was ridiculous.
You don't approve by the sound of it. All right, here's a 70s video. Lee, see how much of this you remember.
Does this mean I'm going?
No, it means you're going to watch this and then say,
"Oh, right, okay."
Enjoy your smoke. Watch this video. Have a quick word with Matty, and then go and do some work. All right. So check this out. It's a wonder we're still alive, isn't it?
I was born mid-70s, so I have very little memories of that.
Really?
I'm still a puppy. I'm still a baby.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be more Portuguese-based than American-based.
So the ice creams look exactly the same to me. And look, am I dying? My life seems to be flashing before me. Says James. Doug dresses and lives in the 1970s. 70s, baby. What a great time to be a kid. It was definitely the best decade for music, if not food and nutrition. Not the good, but the village in NYC where I went to art school. What's that then? Not the food. Okay. I think a few memories of even their cuckoo clocks. There was a cuckoo clock in there. A lot of people's grands had one of those cuckoo clocks, didn't they? Just put ours up last week. Joelle still got one of those. Top Carl, the indisputable leader of the gang. Don't say that. And like you were saying before, Lee, Transits and Mark II Jags. I remember the Sweeney. Yeah, all the shut it, you slag. All those criminal villains they used to call them, didn't they? They all had a white Transit van, didn't they? Wow. Okay. A nice little memory there. Let's bring Matty on because he's up next. I think we'll have to get all of you on the screen for a moment because all the Quinta crew are here, despite being carefully scheduled. Good morning to you, Matty.
Morning. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. How are you? I think Lee's going to have to leave us and go and actually do some work in a minute, but I just wanted you
some of us have job to do. Yeah.
Some of us have got work to do. How's it going, Matty? You look like you're in Pombal. I mean, I can you're not paying the electricity at the moment. What's going on in there?
I'm back in Pombal. Last Friday we put in the concrete floor in the tech room, which went well. 4 hours to pour in 35 square meters. 10 centimeters thick.
Wow, so manly work.
I was told it's about 2.5 tons.
Yeah, okay.
We did it with a wheelbarrow and 2 mixers and Nick from
20 minutes graft.
Yeah,
could have been done by lunchtime.
There was a slight. I did hear that there was a slight wobble in the Earth's axis when you laid down that massive slab of concrete. Maybe that's what ruined Elon's launch the other day. I mean, that is a heavy weight of concrete to put down, isn't it? And did you say tech room or tech room?
Tech. It's the room. It's the room where I'm going to put in my solar system equipment, and which I will use for storage in most of my stuff. The roof is done. That's finished. All I'm waiting now for is to get in touch with the guys that will do the gutters, because they're going to make it in metal, aluminium or steel or not. I don't know, something metal, not plastic. And they are quite cheap, I think. It's 13 euros per meter plus IVA. So I don't even bother to go to Leroy Merlin and buy something in plastic and putting up myself.
Okay, so metal guttering going in. We're all rooting for you. If, in case you don't know Matty here, if you're watching this and seeing Matty for the first time, he is renovating a quinta, namely Entre Aguas, the quinta, the farm between the two rivers, and he's bravely bringing a building back to life. It's a dream many have. So a lot of people are rooting for you, Matty, and are concerned about your workload, because you are also, as I've said about everybody here this morning, running a business as well and keeping your head above water, staying alive. See you later, Lee. Take care, mate.
I've got to go. Yeah. Ciao, ciao. See you next time. Bye bye.
All right, there goes Lee. Yeah, and Matty, you're bravely renovating whilst running a business, keeping a show on the road and everything. And you started a business as a pain management clinic. You know, you are a clinician. You've just started as a therapist as well. How's it all going? How is that workload that we were all a bit worried about?
Well, yeah, I wish I was back in school and studying 40 hours a week.
Well, that'd be a lot easier.
That would have been a lot easier and less time. Right. But you know, you do what you do, and you just think about the next step, and it goes as it goes. I mean, it's Portugal. I thought I would be living in my quinta in October. And now it's November, and I think it's going to be December before I can even consider it. Okay. So everything takes a little bit longer, but I'm quite happy that I took the steps I took. I'm very pleased with the roof, how it looks, how it's built. Tomorrow, actually, the company that's going to build up my solar system will start installing the solar system. They're probably going to be busy for 3 days. And somewhere in December, I get a new door for the room, so then I finally can have a lock, which is important.
It's a bonus, isn't it? Hold on, I just want to rewind you a bit there, because you said it's Portugal and it's taking longer. I mean, to be fair to Portugal, often renovation and construction work takes longer than people originally planned. Do you think it's uniquely Portuguese, or is it a bit of both?
No, it's a bit of both. You know, you have this plan in your head. I do this and then that and then that, and then you start to try to organize the first thing, and then let's say the concrete floor. When I thought about it in June, I said, okay, so I just pour some concrete in it and be done with it. Yes. And then I talked to I think I can call him friend now. He lives in the next village, and he's also German. And he said, well, why don't you put conduits in and be ready for, you know, maybe you want some power there, and you know, a drain pipe for I don't know what, but it's always good to have. And I said, yeah, you're right. And I never thought of that. So then I started thinking, where would I want a power outlets, and maybe I should put my washing machine in there because it's close to my power solution. So I will have enough power, and well, I need to wash my clothes sometime. Can't wear them forever. So you know, and when you get more information, your plans get adjusted, and so then I had to think about, okay, I need conduits. Where do I get them, and how thick would need they to be? And then I talked to the solar company, and they said, yeah. We have some empty ones that you can use for our cables. And I said, okay, but how much? Yeah, well, we need 3. And I said, well, maybe I should put in a 4th for the shed that I'm going to do next. And maybe just 1 for spare. So let's put in 5. And to be honest, I was a little bit worried to get the conduits through or under the wall. And the floor inside the tech room was like a ski slope.
Yeah.
So I started with digging out earth. And when I started, I was like, okay, that's like 10 wheelbarrows and be done with it. Maybe 3 hours. And after the 3rd day, I was like, oh, man.
3rd day?
Yeah. Finally, I called in some help.
Wow.
And we got it done in 2 days, where I was wheelbarrowing the whole time, and we had 2 wheelbarrows. So while I was wheelbarrowing out the earth, he filled up the other one. So when I came back, I took the one. So it was
that's how they got the pyramids built, mate. Well done. So yeah, Pete saying, yep. A few people said that realism has sunken in, Matty. You didn't come to Portugal to get things done quickly. And I suppose, to be fair as well, if you knew what you were up against, you might not do it. You have to keep a sense of optimism, don't you? As well as grasp with the grim reality of some situations like digging holes for conduits.
Well, the thing is, one part is I'm unexperienced. I've never done this before. Yeah, right. And if all goes well, I'm never going to do it again. But I also like to think that I'm trying. Well, I know I try to do the things as good as possible and do it right the first time.
Yeah.
But because of my lack of experience and information, I might make some bad decisions in the future. But I try to prevent them. And I have no idea how much work something is until I try it.
Yeah.
When they build up the roof, there was you have the wood that comes from the ridge and goes down and lays on the walls.
The roof timbers, the joists, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, but they lay on the outside wall and extend, and between them, I needed to fill up with granite and mortar and whatnot. And again, I thought, I'm going to do this in half a day. No big deal. And when before they put up the wood, they said, you should put a layer of lime, so you have a sort of level base to start off. So I did that, and when I was done with that, I was pretty sure I can't do what I thought would be a half day. So I hired somebody in again. He came with another guy, so there were 2 people, and they did it in 2 days.
Wow.
That just shows you how big the lack of experience is on my side.
Yeah, sure. Well, hang on in there, mate. It's really wonderful to hear your. Well, it's easy for us because we're not having to do the hard work. We're just watching the progress here, and it'd be lovely to see some photos if you can share some with us at some point. And yeah, keep on keeping on. I mean, there's no question. You're going to do it, aren't you? One way or another.
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, it would be great if I can do the big house next month and move in the big house in February. It might be February, but maybe in 10 years.
Which February is the question. And not only have you been building this homestead, this Quinta between the 2 rivers, you've also launched, because when we first met, and we've known each other for 2 or 3 years now, one of the first things we discovered about you in this community is that you are a therapist of a particular pain management. It's a pain management philosophy, really, isn't it? But with obviously a very practical application. And you've launched a clinic for that. Tell us a bit about that, Matty, and how's that going in the mix of all of this as well?
Well, at the moment, I have an agreement with the owner of a massage studio in Anziao.
Yep.
And to start it off slowly, I said, let's do 1 day every 2 weeks. Because when you come for the first treatment, I usually want the follow-up appointment 2 or 4 weeks later, depending on your condition. So a 2-week schedule is good. And we launched it October, I think, with an informational evening. There were a couple ladies coming over who were curious, what is now this Liebscher and Pracht thing that I'm doing, and why should we come to you? And I explained them as good as I can. And one of them made an appointment the same day, and she had her first treatment already. And I think in 2 weeks is her, what do you call it? The follow-up.
The follow-up visit.
Yeah, and I have to see how she did the exercises, how she's doing. And
well, I think I take my hat off to you. I take my hard hat off to you, as it were, from the building site, because not only are you overseeing this ruin, I think as I noticed, as I realised with the 3 of you, Lee, you, Matty, and for Jason, you're building places. You know, you're creating homesteads. And in the midst of all of that, you're creating businesses as well. So keep on keeping on, mate, and good luck with that business. How have you found it from an administrative, bureaucratic point of view, starting a business here in Portugal?
Terrible. I have an accountant. The first one was somewhere in the Algarve, so I never met them, and they charged a lot and didn't do a lot. Then I found another one, and they went off for a good start. I had an account manager that actually spoke English, so I could communicate with them. Then she left the company. I had another one that spoke English. Then she left, and since then they don't reply to my emails or phone calls.
Oh, okay.
So I stopped paying them, and still they don't communicate with me. So I have to find another one, which I will meet on Friday if all goes well.
My goodness.
And it's in the Castelo Branco district, so it's then a lot closer. And yeah, the pain therapy thing is something that probably will have a slow start, because as far as I know, and I checked with the headquarters in Germany, I am the first and only one in Portugal that does this specific pain therapy. So people need to know what it is, experience it, and talk about it, obviously.
Okay. Well, good luck with the business as well. Let's have a look. You're a motorbike fan, aren't you? Motorcycling.
Of course. I have 4.
Yes, only 4 motorbikes. Okay.
For now.
Well, I have a message in from Gary down in the Argyle. Some great video from Gary. Where's it gone? Oh yeah, he said yesterday, "Cheers, Carl. Great show again this morning. I had no idea there was a law against filming people in public." Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. Thanks again for all the valuable content on your show. You wouldn't believe how it's influenced my plans and saved me from trying to reinvent the wheel. And he was in Monte Gordo for the last leg of the Sand Races World Cup, which is a motocross thing. I don't know if you knew about this, Matty, but this is a still picture, and he's got some video for us as well. Our mate Monte Gordo in the United States, who's thinking of living there, may well be interested in this. Let's have a look at Gary's videos now and see if you fancy squeezing a bit of this in as well in your busy life.
Is that in Portugal?
That's in Monte Gordo. It's a place called Monte Gordo.
I've seen something similar, I think.
Well, that's only the first bit, Matty. That's just them.
Yeah, wait. In Amsterdam or in Sanford, actually, they have the Red Bull Beach Race, what it's called, I think. And they go over the beach on off-road bikes like 80, 100 kilometers an hour.
Yes.
It's a long straight, and then they have obstacles to come back, and they do like 1,000 kilometers or whatever.
We might see something like that because that was the first of 3 videos. So I think they're just making the track there. I mean, the sand must be a nightmare for your bicycle. Anyway, let's have a look. It looks like it might have been lunchtime there. And here's the final video from Gary. I had to stop that video because I think there's a bit of sand on the lens, wasn't there? There wasn't the high res copy. I'll have to get back in touch with you. Was that a bit blurred for you as well?
Yeah.
We got the gist of what was going on there. Yeah. Todd Kellett, British sand motocross rider, if that's indeed what the sport is called, was a favourite to win the silver there. So it looks like good fun was had by all in Monte Gordo, and we'll see if we can get a better quality video of that. But people riding bikes up and down the sand, you don't think that's a problem for the for your engineering to get all that fine sand in?
No, those dirt bikes are designed to do that, and it's also part of the riding technique you use, because if you want to go fast over sand, you want to move your weight to the rear so that the front wheel is a little bit lighter and goes over the bumps. And of course, yeah, you need the right tires. I mean, those. I couldn't really see it, but they probably have knobbly tires.
They probably have knobbly tires, yes. But it's best to stay back and not inspect a man's knobbly tires, especially when he's in that condition. Is that what it's called then, Pam? Enduro. One of my clients has an enduro touring and hire company in central Portugal. Looks like a lot of fun, says the Squire. Morning, Squire. Good to have you here this morning. And they are lightweight machines, so I needn't worry about them. So next step then, Matty, thank you for being with us, popping in from time to time, letting us know how your progress is going. You've got the roof on. You've got the concrete slab for your tech room. You've got the conduits in place. You've started your pain relief business. What's the next big step to get you in, possibly in February of next year?
Like I said earlier, the crew that installs my solar system will start tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And as far as I know, it's going to be like 3 days before they're done. And then I basically have my own power, my own electricity. And the system should be sized enough so that I don't have to worry like other off-gridders that they go like, oh, we like to wash clothes, but we need to wait for 2 o'clock when the sun is highest.
Yes.
That's not me.
Okay.
If I want, I can wash my clothes at midnight when it's dark. So
okay. Yes. Very good. From your battery power, yeah. Okay. Mate, sounds like Will Thompson might be able to help you with that sort of stuff as well. He's available. One other question for you, Matty. I don't know if you wear tights at this time of year because it's getting a bit chilly. I'm not averse to wearing a pair of tights from time to time. I don't think people should be finding that amusing. Men have worn tights throughout the ages, I think. Feel Good Astrology. This is Pete asking Mrs. M. Odd question for you, but where do you get tights? This is for everybody, not just Mrs. M. Diane is not quite a giant, but the gusset rarely goes above the knee. What you do in your private life is your own business there, Peter and Diane.
I would say, Pete, stop shopping in the kids section.
Yeah, don't send Pete out, Diane, to buy the tights. He's probably trying to make a bit of a saving there, isn't he? He's gone back with like it's kids size or something like that. But for any ladies or gentlemen for that matter, let's not be sexist about this, who have nice snug fitting tights, do let Diane know through Pete where they're available. Apparently, God made his solar system in a week, Matty. So 3 days should be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, mate. Tights are horrible. Not getting any help from Pam there. And this, your pain management. Then, before you go this morning, your pain management therapy. You said the clinic is in Ansiao. How do people get in touch with you to become a client if they've got a persistent pain? I mean, these are the sort of clients that are coming to you, right? People who've exhausted the traditional means, or not traditional necessarily.
Yeah, the one I was talking about is walking around with pain for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Okay.
And she went to doctors, pain physiotherapists, chiropractors, and nobody could help her.
Well, and perhaps you can. You'll find out, won't you, when she comes back?
I'm pretty sure, because she in the first session already she had quite a big relief of pain.
Yeah.
Not to zero, which I really like, but noticeable for her.
Great.
Enough to be motivated to do the exercises I told her to do.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that when she comes back, that she won't be at the pain level she was before we started with the treatment.
Well, let's hope not. You quite like this idea, didn't you? The Portugal Professional Network. So we'll make sure we've got your details in that. I did mean to get back in touch with you so that people can find you. You Man Cave guys tried to start a business directory, didn't you? What happened with that?
I think it fell asleep and never woke up.
Okay, well, maybe we can give it a shot of adrenaline and see what we can do to revive it and maybe mix it up with our professional network as well. Matty, stay where you are for a moment because we've got Jason joining us now. And we'll ask him how things are growing on Quinta Essencial, as well as how the business is growing. Nice big round of applause for Jason.
Morning, guys.
Morning, mate. Have you had a winter trim there? I'd have worn my flat cap as well if I'd known.
Yeah.
Yes.
I gave it a go. I was starting to look a bit like the wild man of Borneo.
Yeah.
Which is fine when the gates are shut on the Quinta and you're just rolling around with the family. But we have like customers and things like that now.
You don't want to be scaring people, do you, when they step into the shop or when you're delivering to restaurants?
It's preferable.
So how's it going?
It is preferable. I like to think that my personality shines through, but it always hurt if you look presentable as well.
Look like you've got an owner, indeed.
Yes.
So how's it going at Quinta Essencial? I had some pictures of some bottles, a picture of some bottles, and there was beer or cider in there. Have you been making brews just recently?
That was last year's cider.
Okay.
And so they say you should be drinking the previous year's cider as you're bottling the current year's.
Sounds like a good idea.
And so, because we like ours to be sparkling or espumante, what we do is obviously the cider, when you brew it first, it comes out flat like a scrumpy, and it's kind of a little bit cloudy, which I'm hoping to avoid this year. I've double filtered this year. But then we add like a spoonful of organic sugar to each bottle, just as we cap it. And then if you leave it to winter, you could drink it maybe summer, but if you leave it to winter, that's what makes it all bubbly and lovely and gassy and all the things that you want in a cider.
Sounds good. Sounds very good. And was it tasty?
It's very dry. Last year's was very dry. And so, because, I mean, what we've got like 15 apple trees, and in cider, as in life, I'm completely indiscriminate, and so everything goes in.
Yeah.
And it seems that we produce a nice dry cider. I originally started making it just for my lovely partner Oriel.
Yeah.
Because she is a cider drinker. She likes a glass of cider, and was horrified to find that you can only buy Somersby here.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
it's
I don't get it. I don't get it, Jason. You know, we live here in the Silver Coast, and there are miles and miles of orchards where great cider, good perry could be made from the wonderful orchards here, and it doesn't seem to be a necessarily a big Portuguese thing.
Well, I'll speak to my neighbours about it, and quite often their response is, "We have grapes." And having this is my third year doing cider, and we're getting the process down a little bit better. But so what I've learned is the longer you can leave the apples laying on the floor, or collect them up in bodgers and store them in your barn, what you want to wait for is when they go slightly wrinkly, because otherwise trying to get the juice out of an apple is akin to getting blood out of a stone.
Yeah. And
so it takes quite a bit of manual graft to get enough juice to make it worthwhile doing.
Yes.
And so to put it in perspective, I think the first year we made roughly 20 litres. The second year we made approximately 50 litres. This year we've hit 100 litres. And so, and it's the same amount of apples, same amount of trees. It's just a slightly different process. It's been made. I mean, even that's had its stumbling blocks because of the perceived energy crisis. The cost of glass has gone through the roof, and so like last year's cider, I put it into medias, like your normal standard size Super Bock or Sagres. Yeah,
500 maybe.
And they probably cost me about, I don't know, 25 cents a pop. This year I can't get them for less than 50 cents each, plus IVA, and that's purely the energy cost.
Yes, and you say the perceived energy crisis. You think some manipulation going on there, do we?
I mean, as with any market, I think there is a level of manipulation. Right. You know, most markets are controlled in some kind of fashion.
Yes.
It's just unfortunate that nobody can actually not do without energy.
True.
Unless you're off grid.
Yeah, and no good crisis goes to waste, does it? Let's face it. Unless, of course, you're dealing with people locally and having to look them in the eye when you're putting your prices up. And that's the difference between you and a corporation, of course. You run Quinta Essencial, which is a wonderful shop and operation in central Portugal. Let's find out how that's going more generally. Matty, you staying with us?
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right. So how's it all going beyond the cider then, Jason?
I mean, I think if you speak to anybody who has a business, it's generally a bit of a mixed bag. And so some parts of it we're doing very good, and we're very happy. You've touched on the fact that it's very difficult to find businesses, and it's hard for people to find where things are. And so I think we threw the doors open end of July, beginning of August, and we're very lucky that we had a restaurant on the go then, and we had a few people who knew what we were doing, who have now become very valued, loyal customers. And then over time, lots of our neighbours would drive down our street after buying their bread from the padaria and see our signs. And at first the sign just said open. We realised that just being open doesn't necessarily tell people what you're doing. And so then we got a bit more signage, and we just put a few of the items that we had for sale that week with some prices on outside, and slowly more and more people stopped. At the same time as within the Estrangero community around here, people started to hear that we had organic produce, and that we also had some really competitively priced, what I call market produce. But my Portuguese neighbours still didn't come in so much. And then about 2 weeks ago, everything started to change. And my neighbours are coming and they're buying carrots and potatoes and asking if we had things for soups. And we realised that because we live in a very rural area, everybody has their horta.
Yeah.
And so it was just you'd just gone through September, and my distributor had told me September's a difficult month in this business because it's like main harvest time. And so everybody has got a little bit of everything. And then gradually, as that ekes away and there's less in the gardens, more people from the local area are starting to come in. And I guess that word of mouth thing is working well, because quite often I've had some Portuguese neighbours come in and they buy their basics for the week, and I tell them how much it is, and I've heard them turn to each other and say, "The Englishman can't add up, you know. This can't be right." And it's like they've got a nice big bag full of shopping,
yeah,
and change from €10, and they're like, "This can't be right." And so
it's normally the foreigners saying that, isn't it, when they leave a shop? That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, and so in that respect, it's really starting to pick up. We're just getting ready. I've in the middle of doing a deal with the local agricultural co-op, where we are going to be offering veg boxes.
Fantastic.
And so rather than people come here and collect them, we've sort of picked a couple of a place in Figueiró dos Vinhos and another location in Pedrógão. People can order their box are going to be able to order their box through the Facebook page or in the shop, and all the orders will come through, and then we'll make a delivery to each of those locations like once a week. And so there's going to be like a standard box, which you do 2 people for a week, maybe a family box. And then we'll release a list of prices every week. So if people want, they can build their own box.
Wonderful.
And so that's one thing we've got in the pipeline.
That's terrific. Congratulations, mate. That's really good news, isn't it?
Thank you. It's actually a bit more to it than I thought. Like,
yeah, always, right?
Like with Matty, sort of underestimating how much time things take. It's like even something like a veg box, and then I've got to deal with the shops, and it's natural that they would like a commission.
Yeah.
If it's going through their till and they're storing stuff for me and taking in the customers and stuff. And so, it's been about a month in the planning so far, and we're just getting on to doing the costings and everything like that. And so hopefully we should be up and running and ready in time for people to get things for Christmas.
Wow.
And so with that in mind,
sprouts.
It's funny you should mention that, Carl, because I found we've started working with a new distributor who's absolutely fantastic. Wholeheartedly supports what it is that we're doing. And so this week, I'm going to let this out as an exclusive, but I've actually got parsnips.
Oh, yes.
I've got Brussels sprouts, and I've got swede is going to be in the shop.
Check you out.
Yeah. Well, there's been a big call for it. And so we liked the core of our business is we still concentrate on local and seasonal produce, because we really do enjoy highlighting some of the wonderful ingredients that Portugal has to offer, and feel that that is still the thrust of our business. But at the same time, there are certain things at certain times of the year that allow people who have moved here to have a bit of a connection with what's going on back home and stuff. And it would appear that parsnips and Brussels sprouts are one of those things.
And swede.
And swede, yeah. I'm so looking forward to some mashed potato and swede with lots of butter in it. That's going to be first on my list.
Neeps and tatties, I think they call it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's like finding a new distributor and being able to work really closely with them has been a real bonus to us. They even went as far as to tell me that because my daughter was 3.5 years old and that we'd lived here for 3 years, that she was undeniably Portuguese.
Of course.
Which I think enabled them to be able to deal with us.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a really heartwarming moment as it goes. I was trying to buy some oranges, and they're loading oranges into 40-foot trucks and stuff, and I want 10 kilos.
Yeah, and
so they've done me a deal on the it was clementines actually, and
very Christmassy as well.
Yeah, I'm speaking very bad Portuguese, and she's looked me up and down. She's gone, "Where are you from?" "Germany." And I'm like, "No, I said I'm English," which took her aback a bit, because I think the general consensus is that English people are generally quite bad at learning languages.
Yeah.
Whereas our European cousins seem to be able to pick things up a little bit quicker. And she looked at my daughter and she was like, "So she's Portuguese?" I was like, "No, she's Welsh." I was going, "My wife and my daughter are Welsh. I am English." She was like, "Well, how old is she?" I was like, 3.5. And she was like, "Well, how long have you lived here?" I was like, "Just over 3 years." And she just threw her arms in the air and went, "I told you, she's Portuguese."
She's Portuguese, isn't she? For sure.
So, that's been a fantastic find for us. And so the day-to-day running of things it's starting to hit our expectations, I would say. On the other side of things, like the paperwork and stuff like that, it has been a very mixed bag. I was getting through my social security payments that I have to go and make, and it just struck me that after 2 years my accountant hadn't asked to see my books.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd better go in and get some clarification as to why they didn't want to see how many thousands of euros I'd spent building the place and buying all of the equipment, and why they didn't want to see my fuel receipts and stuff like that. And so they explained to me that if you earn less than 200,000 euros a year, that you automatically get put on what's called Imposta Simplificada, which is a simple tax regime. And it appears that regime is job dependent. And so I was explaining that, and the fact that you know, oh, you don't need to do that. The government takes into account your expenses, and then they work out how much social security and imposto you need to pay from my till. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And he said, and so, for instance, your next month, you need to pay 175 euros in social security alone. And I was like,
suddenly
whoa,
like that.
whoa, no.
Yeah.
You must be joking, surely. And so every month I have to take a reading from my till, which is called SAFT. And that goes to my accountant. And so everything is recorded on Sage. And that is what my accountant uses to put my totals in to Finances. And so I was like, look, this can't be right. You're asking me for more money in Social Security that, you know, that's pretty much every single bit of profit that I have.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of a breakdown in communication. My accountants are lovely. They really are lovely. And I wouldn't be without them.
Matty's looking for a recommendation, by the way. So I think he's listening closely here.
Yeah, and so and it turns out that when I set the business up 2 years ago, my principal activity was listed as agriculture. Yeah, and so they've got me down as olivicultura, so cultivation of olives, viniculture, and aviculture. So to them, to Finances, if you needed your olive trees harvesting or you needed them pruning, I was your man. And so that is what they call a service-based industry, a purely service-based industry. And so for that, when it comes to the end of the month, they take my expenses as 25% of the gross that comes from my till, and that 75% of it is profit.
Right. Bit misleading.
And then they apply tax to that 75%. And so by this time, I'm getting a little bit flustered.
Yeah.
And I explained to them that I didn't do very good at school. And maths wasn't my strong subject. But can I please have a piece of paper and a pen? Because I just want to run something by them.
Yeah.
I got a piece of paper and a pen. And at the top, I wrote batatas. And I was like, for instance, to make the maths easy, €1, I buy them at, say, €1 a kilo. Yeah? And then to keep the maths simple, say I apply 25% as my gross markup. Yeah. So I sell that potato for €1.25 a kilo. And so in my head, I'm saying my gross profit is 25 cents. Yeah.
Yes.
But obviously I've still got fuel and stuff like that to take out. And so I thought that you'd be taxing me on 25 cents rather than 95 cents.
Yes.
And I said, surely you can see from this one example that asking me for this is just completely unsustainable.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is normal. And I was like, okay. And so I went away and stewed for a couple of days, and we really did consider closing the doors on the shop.
Did you really? Wow, how sad is that?
Yeah, it was just one of those things. It's like I can't have it that every time I make a sale, it's costing me more in tax and social security than I'm earning.
Yeah.
And
the Dragon's Den wouldn't be putting money into that, would they?
No, I can't see it. No. And so my accountancy firm, they have another branch in another town close to us, and the accountant there speaks English. Wonderful guy called Carlos. And so I phoned him. I said, look, you don't hold my account, but your firm does. Would it be possible to talk to you about a few things? And so what he then did was I gave him my key to access my Finances portal and everything like that. And I'd explained to him what we do here. And he was like, you've been registered wrong. You've been registered as a service rather than as a shop.
Yeah.
And so the difference in that was rather than being taxed on 75% of the gross that comes out of my till, I now get taxed on 15%.
Very good. Thank you.
Because it takes into account the fact that I have fuel and I have running costs, and I need to put diesel in the tractor and all of these things. And so that was a huge sigh of relief.
I bet. And it was worth challenging, wasn't it? Because you were told that's normal. And of course it was normal given the basis, the context that you first entered into business on, but not what you actually ended up doing.
And the reason, and so people are like, well, maybe you need to change your accountant. But if I'm completely honest about it, if I look back to when I set it up 2 years ago, because my Portuguese wasn't so good.
Yeah.
And I was full of ideas with no real direction. And they're like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I grow olives and I've got chestnuts and...
Okay, we'll put that down. You grow olives.
Yeah. And so I think the chances are that I was I kind of forged my own problem.
Yeah, we all do, don't we? But and unwittingly and innocently. But that doesn't stack up, does it, in the eyes of financiers? Too bad. This is normal for what you said you did, and this is what you owe.
Yeah, exactly that. And so the good part, and it took this long to show, because obviously when we put in for our first year's accounts, everything had been an expense because we hadn't even actually opened a door.
Yeah.
And so it kind of went unnoticed at that point. But now we've got everything sorted out, and it feels like it's going, properly and correctly. The one thing that has happened is now I have a very good line of contact with my accountant.
Good.
They keep me in line with everything. And so that was one tribulation. And then about 4 days after that, so I'd had the dip in enthusiasm and then the rush of euphoria of getting it sorted out. And then had a letter from the local Camara saying that even though I'd gone through the full planning process and architects and engineers at the Camera had been involved, and I'd employed an architect and engineers to do all the qualification work and everything like that, that they needed some clarification on some paperwork as to whether we were legally allowed to be a shop or not.
No.
And so, and I'm looking at the list, and it's got bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3, bullet point 4, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. It's like, I looked at it and I was like, wow, remembering all the stuff I had to do. And I'm just like, well, that looks like everything. They want clarification on absolutely everything.
Yes.
Including a fire data safety sheet for having a shop in a high risk fire area. Oh, 1 second, my neighbour.
All right, Matty, what do you make of this? While Jason just pops to see his neighbour, that's a nice slice of country life, isn't it?
Yep.
We found you an accountant, though, Matty. Look, I love my Portuguese accountant and I'm highly recommending her to people I know. Let me know if you're looking for a really competent, friendly, responsive, English-speaking Portuguese accountant. But this is the problem you've got, right? You're not getting a response.
Yeah, well, I'm at the same firm as Jason. He recommended them to me.
Oh, right.
And I'm trying, since I bought my Quinta, to have a meeting with them to talk about all the things I need to be done.
Yeah.
And if I have waited for them, I would have now a tax fine on the buying price because I wasn't registered there at taxes with a new address, because you only have 6 months to be registered at Finanzas with your new address. Because when I bought the place, I got a discount on the taxes because it's going to be my permanent residence.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of stuff myself. They stopped replying to my emails. They don't take my phone calls, and I'm pretty pissed about them, to be honest.
I can understand that. And it kind of shows, doesn't it? It's a bit like banking here. It's not about the company. It's about the individual you find to work with.
Yeah.
And this is a reoccurring story here, isn't it? In understanding the culture that you're now living and working in. You can't make expectations based on what you already know. That's for sure, isn't it? You've got to get rid of all you think you know about dealing with accountants in the country of origin. And then you have to create a good relationship with somebody, with a person. And that's what it comes down to. It's a relationship culture, not a transaction or corporate culture.
Yeah, and that's the point, because the person I started with, she was good. She spoke English. She replied to emails.
Yeah.
Then she left, and the new one was also replying. And when she left, nobody even told me she left. So at some point, I got the mail from the owner of the company. Yeah, she left, and from now on, you send mails directly to me, which I did, and he never replies.
Right. Well, that it would appear from what we can take from this, from our really hard-won experience here, you've got to find somebody who you can talk to, haven't you? And you can't leave it, because if you leave it, you will rack up fines, and you'll find yourself in more and more difficulty. And it is a matter of like ending relationships that don't work and starting one that does. And I'm guessing that Portuguese people know the people they're dealing with, not just in that professional relationship, but they know them from school, or they know them from a club they go to, or they're a fan.
At least they know where they live, so they can come by at night and tell them their opinion.
And have a drink with them. If see them down the bar and say, "Yeah, okay, I got it. You're a bit stuck. Give me a ring in the morning." It's about the relationships, isn't it? We need to know from Jason. And I'm sorry, Matty, it's like that, but it's not unusual. And you just got to keep going, because you have a responsibility, don't you, to meet. And if you don't get the help you need, you've got to find it from somewhere else. But Jason, what happened with the camera then?
And so again, I got pretty flustered. It was like, oh wow, I can't believe this is happening twice in 1 week. And so I got in contact with my accountant, a really, really, really lovely lady who lives locally, explained what was going on. And she was like, oh, this doesn't sound right. They're asking you to explain everything. We put a full pack in. And so I met her at the camera offices the very next day.
Relationships.
Armed with absolutely every single piece of hard copy paper that I had.
Yes.
And what it appears had happened was the architect at the camera that we've been dealing with, who's also was a real help to us, both her and the engineer. And so we'd gone through the whole process, and they'd approved it. They'd given me a checklist of stuff that I had to satisfy in order for it to happen. We'd done that, put it back in. But on the day that I went in to go and close everything, neither of those guys were there. And so we've handed all the paperwork over to somebody else in the camera, paid the tax and everything like that. I've left. It's done.
Yeah, assuming.
And then that has to move on to another department within the camera. It's like, and so then it's dealing with the vice president of the whole of Pedroga Grande area. And he's looking at the fact that we paid the imposto and that we're now operating as a shop. And he can't see any of the qualification because it's on a desk somewhere.
Yeah.
And had been forgotten to be passed to somebody. And so as far as he's concerned, I'd taken a non-existent house that I didn't have, and then changed the use on it from a house to a shop.
Oh, my word.
And so he was like, wow, there isn't a house in this location. And so what on earth is going on? It's like, where's everything from finances? And so we went in there armed with all of this stuff, and brilliantly, the architect and the engineer that we dealt with were in there, remembered us because they were completely behind the idea of what we were trying to do, and they thought it was a great idea. And so while they're all talking and everything like that. I'm sat with the president and he's looking through all of my paperwork. And I've just looked at him and said, cheguei com muito dinheiro e sem papel. 3 anos depois, não tenho dinheiro e tenho muito papel. And it's like, I arrived here 3 years ago with loads of money and no paper. And I've got this folder. And I'm like, now, 3 years later, I've got loads of paper and no money.
Yes.
And so, obviously, that's made him laugh a little bit. And also got across the fact that I can speak a little bit of Portuguese. And then I impressed upon him how important it was for us, because it's like I've got my family here, my daughter's in school. And so he's looking through everything and he can see that we've had a brand new build and he can see the engineer's report and everything like that. And he's like, okay, this makes a lot more sense.
Thank goodness for that.
And so my next job this morning is go onto my finances portal, and they want to see proof, and it has to be current proof that I'm registered to trade as a shop.
Yeah. And
then I need to go down to the registry office and pay yet another €20 for a caderneta prediage, which shows that we have a permanent situation here and that the land has been re-registered. And so it's gone from rustico to mista. So we've got rustico and an urbano, and we also now have a commercial designation on the land. And so, but in that 1 week, it's like, found a great distributor. Yay! Gonna have to pay everything in tax. Boo! Sorted out the accountant. Yay!
Yep, it is.
Camera
It is
taking the shop away. Boo!
Mate, it's the ups and downs of running a business here, isn't it? And the reason that's appeared on the screen is I've started a new news and information site and a podcast, just snippets of information, news stories that I think might be of interest to people. So we've got the big NHR plot twist, expats everywhere's new video of 12 best cities to live in Portugal. We had a lovely chat with Linda Keith on the Portugal Club last week. Here's a new one, Makes You Fluent. Has anyone tried that? The webinar.
Look at that website.
Is it good?
Well, they said that they were looking for 10 people.
Yes, that attracted me as well. But let's come back to that because, was it a bit of a con?
Well, then they were looking for 10 people, and I figured, wow, you're looking for 10 people, and you'll get a free go. And then all it was a subscription. And every time I said, I'll think about it later, they kept putting the price.
Yeah, nicely done. I thought it might be something like that. But what I was scrolling to here is a couple of podcasts. I read these two stories out for people who want to hear it like a radio show. What is the productivity rate in Portugal? And Portugal celebrates perfect Euro 24 qualification campaign. If you look at this one, this is Scott over in the States. A friend in Gumper was saying, what do you make of this? What is the productivity rate in Portugal? It's very low. We are not here in Portugal one of the most productive per hour. And when Jason tells you the story like that, you begin to understand why, don't you? That the processes are not geared up for efficiency or even understanding or productivity. And that's when it all goes a bit wrong and when it's a bit unfortunate. And I'm so glad you hung on in there, Jason. But I can understand why you wouldn't have done. What a nightmare you've been through.
I don't think that this is just particular to being an immigrant setting up a business.
No, it's Portugal. Not. It's not. It's just it adds a complication that you are. Yeah.
Yeah. I was speaking to somebody, and so one of our agricultural suppliers, a really great guy, I've been going there for a couple of years now, and he kind of knows what we're doing, but has never really asked. And so I was in there buying bottles to put cider into, and it's like, oh, how's your business going and stuff. And so I showed him some of the Facebook stuff and bits and pieces like that. And basically, he turned around to me and said, very well done. It's like, if you've got this up and running and everything is legal, he said, very well done to you. He said, because as an estrangero, you haven't had anybody to hold, as he put it, hold the door open for you.
Right.
And
yes.
so, you know, when you're talking about those personal relationships,
yeah,
and everything like that, it's business based around community.
Yeah.
And so this is why it was so important for us, for our daughter to go to school in Portugal, because if we're going to be here in 18 years, essentially what happens is all of those jobs get split up amongst your peers.
Yes.
But it's those relationships of knowing each other and living in villages or in areas over a 20, 30-year period.
Well said.
And it isn't nepotism.
It's just how things work.
It is how things work.
Yeah.
And if you're a part of that, then I'm sure that makes it very easy and natural. But I would suspect that if you had moved from, say, Lisbon as a Portuguese person to anywhere else in the country and tried to set up a business, that you would have the same constraints and difficulties and challenges.
It's not prejudice, is it? It's just how things work.
Not at all.
And you're not part of it, and that's just a fact rather than an injury of some sort. I mean, it's like us, isn't it? We talk to each other because we gravitate towards each other. The man cave, the guys know each other, don't they? They're on a similar wavelength, and that's how it works, I think, in most parts of the world. And it's an added challenge if you're not part of that, and you've got to be up against it as well. So well done, mate. We're a little bit past 10. So
the upshot of it is now, hit me up if you want parsnips or Brussels.
Exactly. Every cloud has a silver lining, doesn't it?
I've got what you want.
This is it. He's your man. Exclusive sprouts, parsnips, and Swede. I want you to be wearing one of those brown sort of grocer's overalls, and you just open it up, and inside sprouts, parsnips, and Swedes are hanging there, exposing all of these lovely organic wares of yours. Thank you very much, Matty. Thanks for being here, sharing your situation. Thank you, Jason, for sharing yours. It was good to see Lee earlier on. I meant to share this with him. We've got the dad jokes for you, of course. This is meant to be shared out with Lee earlier on. I got fired from my landscaping job for being a little rough around the edges. That's perfect for McGrady, isn't it? And my friends only keep me around to make their own lives seem less embarrassing. Yeah, I guess we could all claim that.
You can do something about that.
Yes, what? Get new friends. I hate that feeling after surgery when you're not sure if you're awake or asleep, or if you operated on the right patient. Very good. Jason, Matty, see you soon. And yeah, it's great to check in with you, every month just to see what's been going on. And well done, fellas. But I mean, you've been up against it clearly, haven't you, in the last little while? So well done. Hang on in there. You're part of a community here. Whilst you're not part of the communities we mentioned before, and that makes it a bit difficult, we do have this community here, don't we, for shoulders to cry on and a little bit of moral support every now and then. So thank you for coming and sharing.
Cheers.
All right, a nice big round of applause to you. Go well, my friends. Take care. Bye for now, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bom dia, Portugal!
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.